Hi guys, as promised we're going to be reviewing the Dodge Daytona from M2 and Greenlight today. Looking at the pros and cons of both and comparing both of them. So, as you see, they're lined up here in front of Mr. Norm's. I have a lot more M2s than I do Greenlight. Pretty much the reason being is the availability and the number of castings they made. M2 made a lot more Daytonas than what Greenlight did. And also, in my opinion, the quality of the M2 is better. Greenlights are still nice, and when they become available, I buy them. So I'm going to take a look at the Greenlights first. This one here is a rare one, the Joe Dirt Dodge Daytona. This is the first release of it. I think they released this car twice. This is the early one, still numbered. This is number 1114 of however many they made. Okay, downsides of the Greenlight. Number one, and this has been a big complaint by everyone, is these big wide tires. The wide tires are downside unless it's like a NASCAR variation. NASCAR variation, this would be great, but for just a regular street car, no, they're a little bit too wide. They've been working on improving that on a lot of the other castings, like some of the Roadrunners I've noticed have skinny tires on them, like the 70 Roadrunner and GTX now have the proper width tire on them. So that's the main downside of the Greenlights. Now, here is one of my regular castings of the Daytona, one of the originals. And one of the things I really like about the Greenlight is their stilly wheels with the dog dish hubcaps. They're very nicely done, look very cool. That's one of the pros on the Greenlight. I think it looks better than the M2 dog dish and stillies on their cars. This is a very nice one. It's actually one of my favorites and one of the very few that I have, because I'm getting ready to show you the last variant I have. This also, tires are a little bit too wide on it, but outside of that, I like it. One thing that I do like about this one over the M2 is the non-opening doors. Now, one thing on these, if you pop the hood open, that's another downside of the Greenlight. The engine is ridiculously small, way too small. It's like a 1/87 scale engine. And the inner fenders are way too wide. So that's another downside for accuracy on these cars by Greenlight. The last one I'm going to show you is one that has a notorious track record with me. This particular model has a lot of issues with zinc rot. This one used to be a regular, and I actually pulled the wheels off of my green machine because it actually crumbled into pieces because of the zinc rot. So I wanted to change the wheels and put it on this car because the original Greenlight green machine casting didn't have a green base. It just had green wheels, which it's one of their, I guess, cheapest green machine variants ever made. Because usually green wheels has green base or something besides just green wheels, unless it's a hobby exclusive. I have a couple hobby exclusives that only have green wheels, but usually their regular production runs have green wheels and green base, but not on this particular car. And as I said, this one is cloned. If you look really close on this one, you can see that how the paint is like orange pilling and slightly bubbly. Not too bad. You can only see it in the right light. But that's the starts of zinc rot. On the body, though, it's pretty good. This car didn't get affected by it yet. But as I said, this casting, I have seen numerous ones of these. This is from the Mecum series back in 2015 or 2016, the auction block. one from Meckham. So if you have this car, take a look at it. I would really advise not leaving it carded if you do have it, because that's what happened with the Green Machine. It looked great on the driver's side that was facing out, but when I opened it out of the package, it was horrible on the other side. It was covered with bubbles, and let me find the car and show it to you, because I was going to just swap the wheels and make this one the Green Machine, and I was actually going to turn the Green Machine into a wrecked car, make it like an old NASCAR beater or something, kind of like the Joe Dirt car. Here's the chassis of it, what's left. It was number 35. As you can see, the die cast literally broke like glass. I will show you some of the other parts. So, as I said, if you have this car, I would highly advise opening it, because I think it has some kind of reaction to the plastic of the package. So you could see it's just kind of shattered. It didn't even really get smashed. I just took one strike on the one side with a pair of pliers to try to make it look like it was dented, which most of the time die cast would dent. Not this car. This car shattered like it was glass. As you can see, this is the side that was facing into the package. You can kind of see the bubbling and the remnants of like the zinc rot going on. So yeah, I would highly advise against buying this car for a very high price. If you find the Green Machine, I would not pay a substantial amount of money for it, because, as I said, every casting of this car I have found in the Philippines has had this problem. Now, don't get me wrong, I think somewhat the weather conditions here has a lot to do with this too. The humidity and the heat, and people do not keep their cars in a climate-controlled environment. A lot of people just have them in a separate room that's not air conditioning, and it gets really humid and hot, and they don't pay attention to it. But I've been noticing a lot of cars with paint rash and things like that here, where I never noticed in the States, but I really didn't look for it too much, because in the States I wasn't as much of an opener as what I am now. So those are my Greenlight cars. That's the downfalls of the Greenlight. The ridiculously small engine, the oversized inner fenders when you pop the hood, the oversized width of the tires, and then this particular model with the zinc rot. The other ones are not too bad, but this one in particular has a problem with zinc rot. Now let's go to the M2s. And this is the Drivers series. This is actually my favorite variant from the Drivers series. They kind of made these look like they're tubbed. As you remember in my previous videos, I kind of showed you guys inserts that they use in the chassis. Well, this one has the narrow insert to put the big Pro Street Mickey Thompsons or Slicks, whatever you want to call them, on the car. But I love this variant. This is my favorite. It's a non-opening hood, non-opening door. That's one thing I really like about the Drivers series, because it does not take away from the casting. So that's the downfall about opening parts, in my opinion. Now these two here are Drivers. They're okay too. One thing I started noticing on them is on the passenger side quarter panel, sometimes you'll get some paint rashing here. And it's happened on every single car, except for this purple one that I have. And it's only on the Drivers. The Detroit Muscle doesn't do that. I don't know if it's something in the casting on this side, in the mold, whatever it may be. But I have noticed some paint rash in this area of these. So this one here is probably one of the least favorites. I'm not into the sponsorship decals on the doors and stuff. I would have rather have seen this car in just plain blue with the Hillborn injection sticking out of the hood. That would have been much cooler in my opinion. Or even flames or some type of graphics. I don't really like the sponsorship thing unless you're going for like an all-out race car look, and that's fine. Now here is my favorite Detroit muscle. The colors, the black with the white tail stripe, the white interior. I love this car. With the Magnum style rally wheels. This is a very nice car. This is Detroit muscle, so a little higher end. It has opening doors, opening hood. And as you can see, M2 did a much better job with the engine. It's actually 1/64 scale. A lot more detail under the hood. Inner fenders aren't oversized. Perfect job under the hood. Wheels also, or tires, are perfect width. And as you can see, here's that insert I was talking about with the drivers. This has got the wide one for the stock appearance. So, really, really like this car. But as I said, sometimes because of the misalignment or the way they screw the doors down on the hinge inside, sometimes they're a little misaligned. That's why I don't really care much for opening doors. Opening hoods, cool, but opening doors, I'm not a big fan of. And then this is the latest rendition from the driver's thing. This is the Walmart exclusive, their newest style hauler, ramp back hauler. I put little toothpick tips in here because there's holes actually in the trailer already, and it's perfect. It will keep the car from rolling off the trailer. So if you have one of these and you want to display it, that's the best way to keep the car on the trailer. Then I have a couple of Super Chase cars to show you. This is the 10th anniversary, which you've probably seen my video on the unboxing of this car, the all gold Super Chase, which will be displayed at Mr. Norm's in a week or so with all the other Greenies and M2 chase cars, Super Treasure Hunts, and etc. But the one that you guys haven't seen yet, and this one I'm not going to open anytime soon, but maybe when I get to 1,000 subscribers as like a celebration, I will unleash this car. But this is probably the most sought after Dodge Daytona 1/64th made. From Greenlight, from M2, from whoever. This is, I would say, one of the holy grails for the Dodge Daytona in 1/64th. This is the first Super Chase released of the Dodge Daytona. Actually, it's the second Super Chase ever released by M2. It came from Release 2. As you can see, this is when they still called Detroit muscle cars. That only took place for the first two series. After that, by Release 3, it was Detroit Muscle. But this is an extremely rare car, and usually when you do find it on eBay, it's at least $300 or $400. Sometimes it goes for over $400. So this one I'm not going to open anytime soon, but once I get to a certain level of subscribers, I may open it. So that'll be like a treat for everyone to see this get unboxed once I hit that plateau of 1,000 subscribers. So that's my review of the Dodge Daytona. As I said, my favorite is the M2 by far. I think their quality is better. As I said, I like the driver's series a little better because of the non-opening doors. But as I said before, this one is one of my favorites. They did a great job aligning the doors perfectly and such things. So it's very nice. The door gaps are great. That's one thing I was going to show you on the Super Chase. Even on the Super Chase, like this side, door gaps are great. But on this side, it's a little off. Like, I don't know what they did with the front of the door, but it's like sticking out a little bit on the bottom side. So that's one of the downfalls of opening doors. But yeah, that's my overall review. Greenlight's nice, but tires are too fat. The motor is ridiculously too small. Inner fenders are way too big in the front. And this one particular casting, as I said, I recommend to stay away from it just because of the zinc rot that I've noticed. So thank you for watching. Next week, I'm going to do another review, but this one's going to be a little different. This time, I'm going to do the square body Chevy truck, since that's all the hype nowadays. I will be comparing Auto World to M2. So stay tuned for that, and tomorrow I will be unboxing another Mopar chase car. So tune back tomorrow, and if you have not subscribed yet, hit subscribe, because there will be many more comparison videos and a lot of rare cars coming up in the future. Thanks for watching.